Welcome to Royal Family of the World. I'm Royal Correspondent Reporter Hejin Park, delivering the latest and such a hot news for you guys. So maybe you're gonna be surprised that I'm sitting in the host position, but no worries. Here, I just brought super hot reporters today. Hello, guys.
Okay.
Hi. Hello.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your new hot reporter, Song Jin-hong.
I'm back, you guys, for another episode. I'm Ji-hyun Chu.
Yeah, nice to meet you. So here, even two new reporters today. Nice to meet you guys.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Okay. Actually, Jian and I, we just met last episode, but this is gonna be the first time for Songjin as well, right?
Yeah, well...
Yeah, how do you feel?
I feel really excited, but honestly speaking, I kind of feel a little nervous too. But still, I'll try my best for our show today.
Oh, perfect.
Actually, I heard really good comments about you, Songjin.
Oh, what comments? What good comments? I never heard that.
What
about that?
I heard Songjin is trilingual.
What?
Yeah, I know, right? So he speaks Chinese, English, and Korean.
Oh my god, the three of them, like a trilingual. Amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, also, so what it is called, like triangle. So could you just say hello to viewers, especially for Chinese people?
Come on, guys.
You
guys
should
are
do it.
Joking, right?
No, not joking.
Serious?
Yeah, serious.
Okay.
Say hi for us.
Okay.
Chinese viewers.
But still, Jian, did you do this at your last episode?
Sure, of course you did.
She did it?
It was amazing.
Okay.
With no
then-
further ado, let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, 大家好，我叫洪承正。今天我要介绍两个很有名的人，他们的名字是 William Shakespeare 还有 Charles Dickens。
Wow, that's cool.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Songjin. But
thank
actually,
you.
I didn't do anything last time. I'm
What? What? You're serious?
No, she didn't. She didn't. Never.
Wow. Okay, guys, stop hazing.
It's not just a hazing day. Like, you just advertise our program to Chinese people. It's worth it.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Oh, he doesn't like it. So, as I mentioned before, you guys are graded. The class of our program, I think the program is getting improved as the time goes by.
Okay, then, still, thanks for your compliment.
Oh, you're welcome. So today, our global reporters will tell the hot and interesting news about royal family variously. So stay tuned. So who's going to tell the first story?
Let me introduce
Oh.
the first story.
Okay, well, see your passion. So maybe you just prepare so hard.
I tried.
Oh,
Do you
okay.
guys like William Shakespeare?
Well, sure, I love his books and even his plays as well.
How about Charles Dickens?
I love him so much. I really love his works as well. So they're all from England, right?
Exactly. They're British writers, and their masterpieces are admired by people around the world.
So maybe we're gonna talk about it for today, maybe, huh? So, but what is the relation between Shakespeare and the British monarch?
Yeah, is there any relationship between, like, two of them?
There is indeed a relation.
Wow, okay, well, that makes sense then. I can't wait to hear, like, the relationship between two.
Yeah, it makes me excited already. So, how could they connect it?
All right, guys, have you heard this phrase before? I wouldn't exchange India for Shakespeare.
Oh,
India for Shakespeare. Wait, I've heard that before. That's from Queen Elizabeth I, right?
Actually, some British people insisted that it was said by the Queen Elizabeth, but the saying was actually by Thomas Carlyle, a British historian.
Oh, I thought she just left the word, but it could be the controversial gene, maybe.
Right, all right, let me check back on it. But one thing is for sure is that British people regard Shakespeare as the greatest writer in the English language, right?
Well,
yeah, sure.
that's definitely true. Shakespeare was even called as the Kingsman, right?
Most of people think Kingsman, and they did picture like a Colin Firth movie, The Kingsman. But there was the earlier Kingsman. That's Shakespeare, right?
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So, how did Shakespeare become the Kingsman? Like, he lived at the period of James I, right?
Right, but it could be misunderstood because, like, actually, the Kingsman in England refers to royal play troupe, but often Korean people mistranslate it as like really Kingsman, like the person who was loved the most by the king.
Okay, I get it.
That's a good point, Hejin.
Thank you.
Right, so you mean like Shakespeare's theater was confirmed as the royal play troupe then?
Yeah, exactly. So he could be the king's man. That's because he was kind of like a kumsuja.
Okay, by kumsuja, you mean he came from a wealthy family, right?
Yeah, wealthy family. So because when the James first called him king's man, they were so close then. I think anybody can get along with the king except for like a royal or rich person as well.
Wow, all right. Actually, I'm aware that he was born into quite a wealthy family, and his father was a successful businessman.
Oh, see? I got it.
But just before Shakespeare entered into university, his father went out of business. And consequently, Shakespeare didn't have the opportunity to go to college. He then moved back to London thereafter.
Oh.
Wow, that's pitiful. So that's the reason why he moved back to London. Then can you tell me like how was he able to meet James first?
Yeah.
Okay, well, after he moved to London, he worked as an actor in a theater and a writer. He became well known for his great works and ultimately became one of the shareholders of the theater.
Oh, then he has become known among the like British people gradually maybe. So, but I think it's not easy to be a famous writer among conservative British people as well.
You're right. It was even more difficult for him to be loved as a writer because other writers criticized him by saying things like, "That strange country guy is messing our theater up."
Come on, that's really cruel.
Yeah.
But still, I remember British people calling like the other playwriters university wits, while they called Shakespeare the master.
Yeah, of course.
Right. It means the British people regarded Shakespeare as a master.
As a master also so he was getting famous that he could be admired by the king finally.
Right.
That's
Okay.
cool.
Then did his life change after he met James first?
Actually, I was so interested in about this deep story as well. So now I will present about it though. Actually, he was the shareholder of a theater which is called Globe. You can see the picture right now. But James first confirmed as the Royal Theater officially for Shakespeare.
Wow, I can guess like how much the king loved him. But why did he like him so much? What was like so special about Shakespeare?
Oh, maybe.
Obviously, have you read the 4 great tragedies by him before?
Well, of
sure.
course,
I really
of course,
love
like
it.
Hamlet, Othello, Macbeth, and King Lear, right? All great masterpieces, but a little gloomy after reading them.
Right. I guess that's why they call them the great tragedies.
Yeah, that's true. But they're still amazing, right?
Sure.
Then is that the reason why the king loved Shakespeare so much? Like because of his writings?
Oh, he just nodded so fast, right? That's right. So when you look into his works, especially the Macbeth, it was written like a pro-Scotland.
Oh, I guess it means like James first was kind of pro-Scotland, right?
Yeah, of course. As I mentioned in episode first about our show earlier, James first was a half English and half Scottish blood as well. So he tends to support everything about Scotland.
Oh, see. Okay, then why don't we just talk about Macbeth, like, so the viewers can get a slight grip of what we're talking about?
Maybe you don't remember about the Macbeth summary as well. No?
Maybe.
I agree.
Yeah. So actually, when it comes to my mind of Macbeth, it reminds me like the story of the House of the Stuarts.
Because Macbeth is the king, right?
Exactly. So then the Scottish king was killed by Macbeth. The Duncan's son revenge on father's death.
Wow, that sounds really relevant to James first, like his life, but that tragedy is like a fiction, right?
Of course, it's a fiction. Anyway, that tragedy is well known as a tragedy literature to the public, but it was the comedy work for James first.
I see. I guess Shakespeare wrote just for the king then?
Obviously, so even the story of a Macbeth is so tragic, but James first felt it positively in his position.
I get it. Then is there like any other customizing work for James first?
Yeah, of course there is. Actually, Shakespeare kept writing the customized literature for the king.
Oh, okay.
Sounds like a lot of devotion. So tell me what else he wrote for the king.
So, guys, this is the quiz.
Okay.
Do you know how to pronounce the King James in Spanish?
I have no idea, but is it
Oh, no,
relevant?
you even think about it.
No.
You didn't try. Okay, come on.
King James. I think I know this one. That's it's Othello, right? Othello, like Othello, referring like the title Othello, referring to like James First, right?
Oh my gosh, how could you know that? You even like speak Spanish maybe?
No, not actually. But like when you like gave us the hint that like King James' Spanish name, like I just thought Othello, like that's like the only title that refers to Spanish.
Oh yeah, that was a really good guess.
Good guess.
Isn't it? Yeah, so it surely proves that Shakespeare was under the king as well. And also, it means as that much, he got a lot of advantages.
Yeah, that's true. So I guess when the king read about Othello, I believe he identified his life with the main character of Othello.
I think so. Isn't it cool? If
It's
the
awesome.
famous writer writes a novel and the main character's name is my name, then it has the effect to make me focus on it more than others.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Sure it does, but how about King Lear?
Well, it's kind of funny. Actually, Shakespeare wrote it by recast for King James first, and even James was already confident enough himself, so he rather just enjoyed the tragedy.
That's funny. James is a cool guy. It
Cool
seems
guy.
he didn't really care about the story and treats it like a royal tragedy.
Yeah, sounds sweeter, huh? I guess he just enjoyed that Shakespeare treated him like a dramatic person in his work, perhaps.
Yeah, I agree. Like, honestly, like, frankly speaking, if I were the king, I would have punished him right away, like for treating the royal family like ridiculously and like tragically in his work.
Okay, so just calm down. Just calm down, Sungjin. Yeah,
still okay.
he just did like a British master's work.
Yeah, that's right. Like, I almost forgot that he was the master.
How could you forget? Okay.
Okay.
So I've heard that also there is James' favorite work among his works, and you just prepared and used as well.
Yeah, of course, I did.
So next, he's gonna deliver the king's favorite work in Shakespeare's Little Lectures.
Well, King's favorite, what is it?
Well, you guys want to guess?
So many quiz.
Is
Yeah.
it one of his tragedies?
It's not maybe, Jian. We already treated all of them, so maybe he's not supposed to give the quiz.
Okay, that's a good guess. That's a good
you.
guess.
Is it Romeo and Juliet?
I love that so much. So
Romeo and
didn't you like the
Juliet.
love story word?
Well, maybe. I'm not sure about that. But
Okay.
guess what? I'll give you a hint. But the answer is one of his 5 plays.
One of his 5 plays.
What is it?
That's
One
a
of
big hint.
5
But is it Merchant of Venice?
Merchant
right?
of Venice. Did you
Merchant
just
of
say
Venice.
Merchant of
Merchant of
Venice?
Venice.
Correct. Wow.
Oh.
How could you get that in one shot?
It's actually a random guess.
Okay. Oh, that was an amazing guess, though. So, anyways, James' favorite was The Merchant of Venice, as you just mentioned.
Oh, so how could you know that was the king's favorite?
Well, it's because the king exceptionally repeated like the Merchant of Venice over and over again.
Oh,
So yeah, maybe that could be
really?
the reason.
So really, maybe he really loved the place, maybe though. So what specialty did it make him hooked on it?
Well, that play was set in James' period, and let me tell you this first.
Okay.
So back at that time, British people were antipathetic to Jews because there was a terror threat to Queen Elizabeth I by the Jews. So Shakespeare wrote that play in order to reflect that historical background.
Oh, I think so. So I've heard that Shakespeare was already admired by the Queen Elizabeth. Is that right?
Exactly. So before James liked Shakespeare, the Queen actually fell in love with him first.
Oh, that's cool. But there is one of the words mysterious about him.
What mystery?
So there is a still controversial issue whether Shakespeare was really existed or not.
Really? Of course he existed.
But you know what? Like Elizabeth's period was well known as the golden age of the British Empire.
Sure, because the British Empire destroyed the Spanish Armada, then it made the British Renaissance as well?
Oh, that's true. But the mystery comes from this point. So why, like, there weren't any records of Shakespeare?
Actually, there is no record of him. Even any
true.
his work wasn't published by his name at all. So It's so weird, isn't it?
It is weird.
Yeah. Actually, according to the movie Anonymous, it treated about the mystery. The story was about the one Conte who had a real power in royal family, read about the royal family, and he just gave it to the theater anonymously to reveal the royal secrets. And that it was published by name of Shakespeare, right?
Well, that's
Yeah.
right. Or there is another hypothesis.
What is that?
Where Shakespeare was actually Queen Elizabeth. So, like, Queen Elizabeth wrote all of his works and published it. Of course, there is evidence for my assumption.
Evidence.
All right, what evidence have you got?
Yeah.
So, like, when we look into his works, especially about royal family, like, there are detailed secrets about the royal members.
Wow.
That sounds reasonable.
Yeah, I
but
think so.
I don't think so.
Why?
Because as far as I know,
Okay.
after his death, his wife and daughter received legacy.
Money.
His wife and daughter.
Oh.
Let's just forget about this.
Yeah,
one
it's a
then.
sure evidence, I think.
Let's forget
yeah.
about that.
You prove it. But anyway, it was so interesting mystery. But how did it make British literature flourish in the period?
Well, it's because it was the golden age of England at that period. And, you know, like when a nation flourishes, so does its literature. So it was something natural.
See. So, okay, it makes sense. So the next, we're gonna look through other masters in England. Could you introduce him, Jian?
Sure, that's the writer of Oliver Twist, Charles Dickens.
Wow, Charles Dickens, awesome. I love his work so much.
Yeah, me too. And of course, the British people are proud of his works as well.
Sure, the Prime Minister of England gave President Moon Jae-in a gift.
Really?
Oh, actually, it wasn't the prime minister who gave it. It was the ambassador.
Okay.
So, like when President Moon Jae-in appointed him as the British ambassador, he gave Charles Dickens' teapot to Moon Jae-in.
Oh, such a proper man.
That's really pretty. It looks like a teapot from Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, yeah.
So where does
the
the president keep this treasure?
Actually, you know what? The presidential presents are regarded as like a national property. So it is a store at Korean presidential archives.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, okay, Jian, can you tell us about the relationship between Queen Victoria and Charles Dickens then?
Yeah, so curious.
Of course, so just like James enjoyed Shakespeare plays, Queen Victoria loved Charles Dickens' writings as well.
Wow.
Wow. I heard that there was something written in her journal, like related to Charles Dickens.
Yep, that's right. She mentioned Charles Dickens numerous times in her journal. Like, for instance, she wrote, "I don't understand why time goes so fast when I read his
Wow.
novels."
Romantic.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess Charles Dickens would have been so proud, even he just heard about the news.
I agree with you. Also, in her journal, Victoria mentioned Charles Dickens had a loving heart and the strongest sympathy for the poor.
Wow. I can like feel her love towards Dickens. I guess like she read, a lot of his works.
Right.
I think so.
Yeah, and she also spent long nights, debating about Dickens' books with other people as well.
So then, did the British people enjoy his writing too?
Yes, it wasn't just the Queen that loved Dickens. British people also admired his work. According to statistics, around 7 out of 10 people read Dickens' writing.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I didn't know he was that famous. So we just only know about like a Shakespeare so well in
Yeah,
Korea,
that's
but not Charles Dickens as well. So then you mean if someone walked around England at the time and asked a stranger like,
Like me?
yeah, like me, yeah, stranger, have you read Charles Dickens' work like this? And who will
Then-
likely say like,
Yes.
yes, of course, why
Right,
not?
it's
Like-
true, and I believe he was as famous as Shakespeare in that period.
Wow. So you mean like the Victorian period, right?
Right.
Okay.
That's cool.
So, do you want to know why his writings were so famous back then?
Well, of course, please tell us.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are several factors why he was so famous. So, to begin with, Dickens used his weaknesses and trauma as a source of his writing.
Wow.
curious.
Weaknesses and traumas, like, aren't they things people try to avoid?
Right, you're right. But unlike others, Dickens used these factors as a source of his work. So back then, his family was really poor, and as a result, Dickens had to work at a shoe factory from an early age of 12.
Oh my, 12. I don't believe it. He just
Really
12,
young,
like,
right?
yeah, that age should be like going to school if he was
That's true.
12.
Yeah, I agree. But his father was actually in prison at that time, so poor Dickens had really no choice but to work in the factory. And he actually worked as an apprentice for, imagine this, 10 hours a day
10
for
hours?
4 months.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
But still, this actually turned out to be a great opportunity for him.
Wait, working at a shoe polish factory like turned out to be a good opportunity? You've got to be like kidding me.
No.
Actually, I'm quite serious. Through his tough childhood experience, Dickens was able to feel what poverty was like. And in fact, if he didn't suffer from poverty, works like David Copperfield and Oliver Twist wouldn't even exist today.
Oh, so it wasn't like a transfer to like an opportunity maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, like then I guess that like experience was indeed valuable to him.
That's true. So how about the characters? I've heard that he invented a lot of character in his writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like you mentioned, there's another reason why his books were so famous. Dickens was a diligent observer, and he also had a good memory. And with these two, he was able to invent 989 characters in his writings.
900.
No way! 989 characters. How was he able to name all these people?
Well, he normally used his acquaintances as his models, but when he had free time, he looked around the streets of London to find his characters.
Okay, that's a
sweet.
smart way.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, he would walk around to find characters like that would give him inspiration, right? Yeah. Well, I just guess like he was a very passionate guy then.
Right.
Yeah, I can see the picture of like a London street right now.
Right.
Yeah.
He was really passionate, and according to his friends, Dickens would walk more than 15 to 25 kilometers
Wow.
a day just to find inspiration.
He's such a passion.
That's like a marathon, actually.
Exactly. I admire
Okay.
his passion towards his writing. So no wonder he became one of the most famous authors in England.
Yeah, me too. Like, I respect his passion too. Then, like, how was his characteristics? So, like, did he enjoy communicating with his readers?
Actually, Dickens was one of the first writers to communicate with his readers.
Wow.
Many of his works, including Oliver Twist, were written in monthly and weekly serials.
Okay. Then I guess like readers were able to give him instant feedbacks after reading his writings like every week, right?
Of course, Dickens looked closely at each of their comments and reflected their comments after each publication.
Oh my god,
Okay.
that's cool. Yeah, so it's kind of like an idol, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. So I think the readers might have thought that they were actually participating together in his writings. So was there any funny episode?
Okay, let me tell you this one.
Okay.
So when he wrote The Old Curious Shop in 1840, he received a bunch of letters from his readers urging him to not kill the main character in that part.
Wow.
Right. And during that period, when ships from England came into American harbor, American fans shouted to the crew, "Did Nell die?"
Wow, that's hilarious. So like they were really curious about like Nell's survival, right? And I've heard that he was actually a journalist before he became like an author. Is that true?
Right. He actually was. Dickens' career as a journalist also contributed to his success. You know that journalists are really on a tight deadline, right?
Yeah.
So, of course. So we all know that because we ourselves are journalists.
We're journalists.
We're journalists. Pro
Right.
journalists.
Because of his career as a journalist, it allowed him to gain skills and insight as a writer as well.
Wow. Wait, so he was a shoe shine boy, a journalist, and a writer? That's
my.
unbelievable.
Sounds like a dramatic.
Yeah.
I think because of his various background experiences, Charles Dickens was able to become a famous writer.
I can't agree more. So Tangjin, I heard that you looked over some of his writings, right?
Yeah, of course. Like so, as you know, Charles Dickens, he left a lot of masterpieces, and I wanted to briefly introduce like some of his like most famous writings and what he wanted to talk in his like books.
That sounds great. Yeah. So where should we start from?
Okay. Guys, want to guess? Like
Again? Okay.
it's one of his like most famous writings. It's easy.
Famous.
It's easy. It's a Christmas Carol, right? where Scrooge
Yeah, it
comes
makes
out
sense.
of the main character.
Christmas Carol, that's a wonderful book,
Oh,
but
okay.
actually not.
Okay.
So, want to try again?
I got this one.
Okay.
It's Oliver Twist,
Oliver Twist?
Right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So what do you think, like, Charles Dickens wanted to say in his book, Oliver Twist?
Okay. Wanted to say something. What did he wanted to say? Like, not harass an innocent child, maybe?
Maybe.
Or maybe to criticize the environment in London.
Okay, actually, you guys are both right.
Oh.
So, in his book, Dickens wanted to accuse the situation of London's terrible slum and, like, the workhouse environments, like, through the experience of a naive young boy.
Maybe after the World War II, maybe the situation in London Street, maybe.
That was terrible.
I got it. That's why the book was depicted in a very gloomy way.
Right, and he had to tell the readers that something should be changed. And this kind of ideas actually continues in his next books.
What kind of idea?
So, like in his next book, Nicholas Nickleby, written in 1839, he points out the problems of the institution responsible for the education of abandoned children.
Oh.
I can discover that he focused a lot on children's education.
Yeah, that's true. So, in my perspective, I think the factor can be connected to his personal childhood experience, maybe.
Why do you think so?
Why do you think so?
Me, like I mentioned before, because of his poor childhood, Dickens had to work at a shoe polish factory instead of studying at a school. So I think this might have influenced him to put more attention toward children education.
Well, you are 100% right.
Thank
So he believed that the environment and education for children was not good enough. I mean, like for the labor class and the poor. So he believed that the only way children could escape from that tragical situation was to gain a gentleman's status.
Wow.
Just like Oliver gained his status through Mr. Brown's help, right?
That's right. And unlike Oliver Twist and Nicholas Nickleby, like Nicholas actively seeks to catch opportunities to raise his status. I think Dickens wanted to tell his readers that you can pursue a better life through hard efforts and endeavors.
That is so interesting. I think we talked a lot about his writings. Can somebody tell me about his reputation now? How was he evaluated by other people?
Yeah.
Oh, I can help you with that. So, as I mentioned before, there is a famous quote for Shakespeare, right?
Wait, that was Shakespeare can't be changed for India, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh, yeah, he just knows everything. Maybe he just wrote like a script, maybe.
He
though.
knows everything.
Yeah. Then, what do you think is the nickname for Charles Dickens? For Charles Dickens.
Wouldn't exchange China for Charles Dickens? I don't know.
Wow, that's a good guess. Like India for Shakespeare, China
Yeah.
for Charles Dickens. That's a good guess.
It makes sense because big land, right?
Yeah.
It was so funny. So, but not actually. It's the man who invented Christmas.
What?
Yeah.
The man who invented Christmas? But I thought Christmas was like invented by Christians.
Oh, yeah,
So like
yeah.
I mean to celebrate the birth of Jesus.
You're right. Of course, Christmas existed before Charles Dickens, but he got the nickname because he was Charles Dickens who made Christmas famous all over the world.
Really, how was that possible?
So back in the 17th century, English Puritans were hostile to Christmas.
Of course.
Yeah, they were not friendly to Christians. So eventually, Christmas was so something they disliked.
Wait.
Why?
I get it. It's because of the book A Christmas Carol, right?
Yes, exactly. That you mentioned before. Yeah, right. After the release of the big Christmas Carol, people started celebrating Christmas all over England, and stuff like a Christmas tree or White Christmas and Christmas carols started to become popular.
Wow, like that's super unique. The man who invented Christmas.
Yeah.
Like I hope somebody gives me a nickname, something cool like that.
Me too. Like the lady who invented Valentine's Day.
Aw.
So romantic,
So romantic.
right?
And you could just like a white day man. Something.
White Day Man.
Yeah.
That's true. Oh, wait, then how about the writers? Like how did they evaluate Charles Dickens?
Yeah, of course, not to mention Victorian writers, but Russian writers are like a Tolstoy and Dostoevsky love these words.
Wow, like even Russian writers, can't imagine that. I guess like he conquered the world at that time with his writings.
Yeah, by writings, yeah. And also modern British writers like George Bernard Shaw and George Orwell are praising him as if he's the master of authors.
Wow, that's awesome. Being respected by everyone. Isn't that the life everyone dreams of?
Yeah, that's true.
Then what about the British monarchy?
Just like the other people, the British monarchy loves its writings. Actually, Queen Elizabeth II celebrated the 200th anniversary of Charles Dickens on 2012, visiting his grave at Westminster Abbey.
Wow, like that must have meant something really different. Like the Queen herself visiting the anniversary for an author. I can feel like how much the royal family thought about Charles Dickens.
Yeah, that's right. Alrighty, so today we'll look over the writers the British monarchy loved. They were one of the most famous writers of England, William Shakespeare. Oh, and also Charles Dickens. So, how did you like it, Sungjin, first?
Wow, honestly, I really enjoyed it so much because, like, I mean, new information about those writers were really unique. And it was amazing to see how so many people enjoyed their writings.
That's so sweet. How about you?
It was interesting, and I hope that we can one day cover Korean writers in our show as well.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome too. Alright, guys, so make sure to tune in next week as we'll come back with more interesting and amazing facts about the royal family. Have an awesome weekend and see you next time. Bye!
Bye!